Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm so excited that you're here, and I'm really excited today because I have a lovely special guest, Debra Poneman, with me. Welcome, Debra.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I'm really thrilled to be here.
Well, Debra and I have an incredible topic for you. I'm so excited to tap into her wisdom and share that with you. We're going to be talking about 3 secrets for being a radiant woman at every age, because I know we have women of all different ages here, and quite a few of us are a little in the little more mature category. And sometimes Debra and I were talking, sometimes as we get a little older, we can start to feel invisible. And especially if you're looking for love or want other things in your life, sometimes that can feel a little discouraging. So we're going to talk about some secrets to help you feel radiant at every age. So Debra, I also want to give just a real brief introduction of you before we jump into this great topic. Would that be all right?
That would be fabulous. I love to hear about myself.
Okay. I love it. I love it. Oh, and before we forget, also, I want to remind everyone to make sure you stay until the end, because Debra has an incredible free gift that you're just going to love, which you'll be able to access by clicking on the link in the description or below the video. But stay tuned to hear what she has to say, and she'll tell you all about it. But we do want to let you know we have that coming for you at the end. So Debra is the founder and CEO of Yes to Success, Inc. Her workshops, keynotes, and online events have transformed the lives of hundreds of thousands of people around the world, providing a step-by-step system to create both profound outer success and radiant health to support it. Debra is also recognized as a leading authority on turning back the hands of time. She's going to be telling you a little more about that. In her acclaimed course, aptly called Ageless, she shares that although chronological aging is inevitable, physical aging does not have to occur in the way we've been taught to believe. Debra's easy to implement tools can bring deep, blissful sleep, a clearer mind, unbounded energy, a more luminous complexion, and even slow down and reverse the deterioration of body and brain. That sounds wonderful. We all want that. Debra is also a best-selling author and has been an in-house trainer for corporations including Mattel Toys, the Xerox Corporation, International Trade Management, and she's appeared in print and live media throughout the world and on networks including ABC, NBC, Fox, and CNN. And today she's on my channel. So we're so happy to have you here, Debra.
Yay. And I am a big fan of your work and a big fan of you as a person. So I'm happy this day has come that we could be here together.
Oh, thank you so much. So Debra, I want to jump right in here because I know we have some juicy things that we want to share with this audience. I want to start though, before we get into the 3 secrets, by asking you about the word radiance. So I'm wondering how you would define that so that when we're talking about these 3 secrets, it's really clear what we're talking about.
Very interesting question. I've never been asked that before, but what I can say, this is interesting. After 40 years of teaching success principles around the world, I love doing it, but a lot of people, because I never hide my age, when I tell people that I'm going to be 70, which I'm going to be in next month, actually, people say, "You're so radiant." And how do you do it? And when about the 10,000th person said to me, "How do you do it?" I thought, well, you know what? I do know the secrets to having a clear mind and a strong body. And radiance isn't just having a nice complexion. Radiance isn't just having a smile. It's having inner peace. It's having loving yourself. It's being able to look in the mirror. And if you can say, really, I love you to that person that's looking back at you, then you're radiant. It comes from the inside out, but it certainly is reflected on the outside. And the same things that give us that when people look at us and they think she's such a radiant being, like I think about you, you become magnetic to partners, as you so aptly teach. And so that's basically it. It's the inner radiance that's reflected in the outer. But there are ways that you can also ensure that you are going to have outer radiance, which I'm going to share with some of them with you today.
Ooh, that sounds great. Yeah, I love this word radiance because I really do believe that it's something that a woman can possess at any age. And like you said, Deborah, it's something that really comes really from within. I think it can be in part that passion for life, feeling good in your skin, optimizing your health, and self-care practices. I think those are some of the things that come to mind for me. And I think that when a woman shows up that way from an energetic standpoint, it can be really attractive and compelling to potential partners as well as to other opportunities. So let's dive in and talk about the 3 secrets that you have in mind that you want to share with us today.
Okay, well, I'm going to start out with something that's really obvious, and that is diet. If
Mm,
you only did one thing in the area of diet to be healthier, more radiant, and live longer, I would say that it would be, we're going to dive right in here, like you say, stop eating white refined sugar. Because white refined sugar is known as the worst offender when it comes to brain inflammation. And brain inflammation is the main cause of not only unclear thinking and your brain aging more quickly, but also it takes away your luster. It takes away your radiance. It makes you look tired. You know how after you eat a Snickers bar, you might feel really good for about 10 minutes and then you feel drained? Well, I have to say, you also look drained as well. And here's the thing about inflammation in the brain. And by the way, it's not just white sugar, it's also things that are just filled with that are white refined carbs, like white bread and white pasta, you know the drill. But what it does is it causes inflammation in the brain. And what that does is it slows down communication between your brain neurons, okay? And your neurons, if you remember this from high school biology, that your neurons in your brain aren't just little cute round cells, they have these spiny like protrusions, and that's how your brain communicates. One of those are called dendrites. One dendrite communicates with the other dendrite. And what happens is that when the communication between these neurons is effective, we feel clear, our memory is good, we don't have any of those, what was I going to say? What did I just walk into the room for? But when you eat things that cause brain inflammation, like white refined sugar, it causes the dendrites to actually curl up and retract. So they are no longer able to communicate with the next dendrite. So, and also brain inflammation is serious because it means nerve cells in the brain are dying. Because if you, and one of the things, one of the other reasons why you have those dendrites retract is white sugar. Also, stress plays a significant role in causing these dendrites to retract. And what happens is that if you are constantly bombarding your brain with sugar, constantly bombarding your brain with stress, then they actually atrophy and die. And that plays a significant role in dementia and Alzheimer's. So, and also other degenerative diseases that obviously rob you of your radiance, like cardiovascular disease and diabetes and arthritis and osteoporosis, even some cancers. So the first thing that I would say, if you want to maintain youthful radiance, is change your diet. And I say it's the easiest thing to do is just to get rid of white sugar. I know it's not that easy. As a matter of fact, when they did experiments with laboratory rats, it was harder to get them off of sugar. They showed more severe withdrawal symptoms that when they took the rats off of heroin. So I know it is not easy, but there are things that you can do that don't cause the brain neurons to stop communicating. monk fruit, date sugar, coconut sugar, good organic stevia, even raw, unrefined cane sugar is fine, just not that white bleach refined cane sugar. But also one other little caveat, don't substitute with things like NutraSweet or Splenda or maltitol, because they also cause brain inflammation just as bad, if not worse, than white sugar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and something came to mind while you were speaking there, Deborah. I do think that this is a really big challenge, because I think there's a lot of hidden sugars in a lot of fruit, in a lot of foods, more processed foods too. So it can be kind of insidious in terms of how it gets into our diet. And of course, we're not giving individual medical advice here. We're giving like overall wisdom and opinions on health advice. But it's a pretty well known fact that sugar is not something that is beneficial to most of us, right? And what I've also heard is that in addition to it being good for the brain, it's more helpful to the brain to not be feeding it sugar. Anything that's good for the brain is also good for the heart, and vice versa. So it's kind of all tied together. It's kind of a systemic benefit if we can really minimize or even remove that from the diet.
Yes, absolutely. And there's so many other things that we can do in the realm of diet. But if I made you a big list of all of the things like, nitrates and processed food, and that, I mean, it would just be so overwhelming. So I just say, okay, start with this. And what's so interesting, Michelle? People say, oh, but my kids. Well, I have kids. As a matter of fact, I have 17 godchildren. And when they have their birthday parties, I make them birthday cakes that I sweeten with applesauce, and they just gobble it up. I put some, I'm not totally anti-dairy. I'm very big on not having dairy that has bovine growth hormones. That's another whole other story. But I make them an apple cake and I sweeten it with applesauce, and I might put in a little packet or two of stevia, and they are no worse for the wear, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there's some creative ways to approach this. So I love that you're giving us one thing that we can start with, because I think that's true. If you were to give us a big, huge, long list, some people would just be going, oh, it's just too hard. It's too much. I can't take all of this in. So I love that you're giving us one tangible thing here on the diet. All right. So what's secret number 2?
Well, now I'm going to give you one tangible thing on exercise, because there's now compelling research that's concluded that there are 2 exercise methods that can slow down the aging process better than any others by preventing cellular aging. So again, I'm an anti-aging expert, and that's what I teach my courses on. But these same anti-aging tips bring you more radiance. I mean, people think the more you exercise, the better. That is so not true, because if you over exercise, it ages you. If you put too much pressure on your bones, it weakens your bones. So the sweet spot is about 150 minutes a week, getting your heart pumping. But this is so interesting. You might be surprised to know that the 2 types of exercise that are best at anti-aging, one is not yoga, one is endurance training or aerobic training, and because anything that increases your heart rate and your breath rate, like running or cycling or speed walking. And the other is high intensity interval training, known as HIIT. You've heard this word HIIT, HIIT, which is, as you can guess, very high intensity bursts of cardio followed by equal or longer periods of rest. For example, think 30 seconds to a minute of sprinting, like running as fast as you can and get that hurt. And then you just stroll for a minute or two, or slowly jog. In fact, there was a study published in the European Heart Journal, and researchers examined the effects of different types of exercise over a 6-month period with I think there were about 125 participants. And the participants were told to perform one of several exercise modalities. And at the end of the 6 months, researchers found that high intensity interval training, bursts of cardio, and then, strolling a little bit, that it actually increased what's called telomere activity better than anything else. Telomeres are those nucleotide sequences found at the end of our chromosomes. And when they shorten, aging occurs. But high intensity interval training and endurance training were the only modalities that actually were found to increase telomere length, thus producing an anti-aging effect.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Now, as always, if you haven't been exercising and this is new for you, you want to probably check in with your doctor and we want to make sure everyone's safe in terms of starting a new exercise program. But I think exercise is, again, a very well-known component of health and longevity, and for most people can really, really be beneficial. And knowing a little bit about how we can do it and how much to do and that sort of thing, that may be somewhat individualized based on where you're at and your level of fitness and health and things like that. But I think that's very, very interesting. And again, when you're talking about getting the heart racing, it comes to mind what's good for the heart is good for the brain and vice versa. I think these things are systemic benefits.
Yes, absolutely. And again, like, if people don't want to run, I'm not a runner, but I bicycle, I do a bicycle, and I do it for like a minute, and then I bicycle not on a real bicycle, on a stationary bicycle. Right. And then I go real slow for another minute or two, and then I do it. And that's how I find that to keep and it's also strengthens the heart muscles, which we want to keep those heart muscles strong as we age, and we all age.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Okay, so what's number 3?
Okay, on to the other obvious area of life, sleep. Now, we all know that we need to get enough sleep if we want to have a radiant complexion, if we want to have a clear brain. But what most people don't know is that when you sleep is equally or more important than how long you sleep. So what do I mean by that? In our sleep, we produce what's called HGH, or human growth hormone, which is the anti-aging hormone. And it's involved in brain function and mood and endurance and immunity, which we want to increase right now. It also increases skin elasticity. It stimulates fat burning. It increases muscle mass and bone density. So HGH is a pretty important hormone. HGH is abundant in your youth, and then it declines when you age. So you want to do whatever you can to maximize its production. The good news is that we can increase our production of HGH by a factor of 5-fold, depending on sleep habits. So,
wow, 5-fold.
5-fold. So if I asked you, is it better to get 7 hours of sleep between 10 and 5 or 9 hours between midnight and 9? Most people, what would you say?
Well, I'm cheating because you and I have spoken before, so I know the 10 p.m. bedtime sleep is more beneficial. So I had a cheat sheet on that one.
Okay. Yeah. So the answer is 7 hours between 10 and 5 because of our circadian rhythms. Our bodies are still in tune with the sun going down. The sun goes down, we start increasing our HGH production. And at about 10 o'clock, it's really getting up there. And at midnight, it's at its peak. And then it declines until 2 o'clock, where there's practically no HGH production. So those people who go to sleep at midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning, they have completely missed peak HGH production. And you also want to turn off your screens, by the way, at least an hour before you go to sleep, because it contributes to insomnia. Your body produces melatonin, and melatonin doesn't make you sleep, but as melatonin levels rise in the evening, which they do, they put you into a quiet state of wakefulness. And then, when you have that melatonin really churning, what happens is that if you have your screens on, the blue light that is emitted from your screen actually inhibits melatonin production for hours afterwards, which is so crazy. And actually, I want to add a fourth secret. Is that okay?
Absolutely. A bonus secret. We love it.
Bonus secret. So, speaking of screens, what do you think science is saying is one of the most insidious causes of aging of the skin and damage to our eyes? Well, obviously, I just gave it away. It is the blue light that emits from our computer screens. This is in addition to EMFs that are floating all around us, emitted from our cell phones and 5G towers, which is a topic for another day. But the light that comes off our computer screens, it's called blue light, and it's known to have long-term health effects. Even the health letter of the Harvard Medical School a year ago, July, said that I won't quote it exactly, but something like blue light can affect your sleep and potentially cause disease, including cancer and diabetes and heart disease and obesity. And studies also say that continued exposure to blue light over time could not only lead to damage of the skin, but also damage to the retinal cells and eventually to vision problems like macular degeneration and even blindness. And just a little bonus tidbit that I think people need to know, blue light exposure is a particular concern for our children, especially little ones, because their developing eyes absorb more blue light than adults, putting them at greater risk of long-term damage to the eyes. And because especially with homeschooling during COVID, they're in front of the computer so many hours a day. And some research even say that macular degeneration and blindness are going to be the biggest health crises when our kids reach adulthood. So what we want to do, we want to get a blue light blocker on our computers.
A blue light blocker, is that something you put on your screen? I'm not familiar with what it is. And I know there are those blue light glasses you can wear.
Right. So I have blue light glasses, of course, vanity, thy name is woman. I don't usually wear them during my interviews also because they reflect the light, but these are blue light blocking glasses. And I also have a screen. You just order it, you peel it, you place it on your screen. You don't even know it's there. It doesn't, make things gray or yellow or blue. You don't even know it's there, but it protects you from blue light damage to your skin. Actually, dermatologists say if you're not going to put a blue light blocking screen onto your computer and onto your phone too, then you should wear a sunscreen with an SPF of 40 if you're going to be in front of the computer for long stretches of time.
Wow, that's great. I'm so glad you added this bonus tip, because I, for one, spend many, many hours in front of the computer and it's not something I've been doing. So I'm really glad you added this bonus tip. I know I'm not alone.
Yes, it's very important. Actually, I'm going to end with one quote. Listen to this. This is from Dr. Murad, M-U-R-A-D. He has the whole skincare line. I was reading an article in Bazaar magazine, and he says, quote, spending 4 8-hour work days in front of a computer exposes you to the same amount of skin damaging light as 20 minutes in the strong midday sun at the equator. I mean, nobody in their right mind would go out at 12 noon, lie in the strong midday sun at the equator. It would, what it's going to do to your skin. 20 minutes would irreparable damage. Same thing if you spend day after day in front of your computer screen without a blue light blocker.
Wow. Wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing that, Deborah. That is really, really good. These are all really good tips, and some of them might seem kind of simple or basic, but I love that you've given us tangible things that we can work with, that we can take right now and start implementing if we're not already. I think that's wonderful. And I want to give you a chance to share a little bit about the ebook. And as we mentioned at the beginning, everyone that's watching or listening, you can get that by clicking on the link in the description or underneath the video. And Deborah will tell us a little bit about it. And then I am happy to have you share just a little bit about your program you have coming too.
Okay, fantastic. Well, there is a woman, her name is Ronnie Newman, And she was part of the original research team at Harvard in the 80s and 90s who started studying what it's called Finding the Fountain of Youth. It was actually on the cover of Newsweek magazine on March 5th of 1990. Have we discovered the fountain of youth? And this research at Harvard was actually done on meditation techniques and breath techniques and ways that people could find the fountain of youth. She was a part of that research team. And she and I together wrote this book, Ancient and Modern Secrets for Lifelong Radiance. So she's a gazillion time published, peer-reviewed researcher at Harvard. And what we do is we tell you, I don't know how many secrets, maybe 5 or 6 more secrets to turn back the hands of time, and also to have a clear, effective brain and a strong body at any age. I mean, we teach you the craziest things like, can bad breath actually lead to Alzheimer's? Like, what? But yes, it can. And we're going to tell you why. We're going to tell a little known way to ensure your sexual health at every age. That's in our book. We talk about, we actually teach a breathing technique that people can do that oxygenates the brain. So it allows you to think more clearly, but it also stimulates the area of the brain that has to do with anti-aging and so much more. Oh, everybody knows that they should be hydrated because they want to look like your skin cells to look like a plump grape and not a dried up raisin. But we give a lot more information on keeping hydrated, why and how, and some things that you don't know that you might be doing that are actually dehydrating you. And I don't mean just like living in the desert. There are things people do every day. They have no idea that it's causing dehydration. So it's such a rich book and it's a gift.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Yeah. So Ancient and Modern Secrets, the ebook, you can click on the link in the description or below. And this will lead you into some more of Debra's work and some invitations that she has into a course, but the ebook is absolutely free for you right now. So be sure to take advantage of that, because I know the people in this audience, I know the women in this audience want to look radiant at every age. And Debra, I'm so glad we have this opportunity to share your wisdom here. I think this will be really wonderful and really appreciate you taking the time during what I know is a very busy time for you. And ladies, look, she's shared her age. She's almost 70. Like, don't we all want to look like Debra when we're almost 70? Amazing.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you for inviting me. And thank you for all the amazing work you would do in the world. I think our work goes hand in hand, don't you?
I do. I think it's very, very complimentary. So I'm so grateful that we're connected, Debra, and really appreciate you sharing your wisdom today. And for everybody watching, be sure to get the ebook and check out Debra's additional secrets in addition to what we shared today. And we'll see you soon on another video. Bye-bye for now.